destroy ring lands and things like that. And if you run too rich, you can wash the cylinders and you can cause damage that way too. But for mine, we're going to look at the short-term, long-term fuel trims. You can see I just started the truck up on this recording. So the short-term fuel trim is going to be around, give or take, positive, negative 3%. Sometimes it might go to 4%. But you want to aim for that, that range. Give or take 3% for your short-term fuel trim correction. Your long-term fuel trim will kind of mirror your short-term until it learns it, and then you'll see a long-term fuel trim, at 3% or whatever, because that's what the PCM learned to adjust for. And if you see an excessive short-term fuel trim or a long-term, in the plus or negative, like 30 or 20 or whatever it might be, if you have a very high positive short-term fuel trim, long-term fuel trim, you need to look at things like, vacuum leaks. That's what's going to cause it, because the PCM, the oxygen sensors are going to read on the lower side, on the lean side. So that's like 0.1 to 0.3 on the lean side millivolts. And then if it sees a rich condition on the oxygen sensors, which means less oxygen, so it's going to read 0.5 up to 0.9, because the higher the voltage, the higher the millivolt voltage on the oxygen sensor, the richer condition, the lower the millivolt voltage, the leaner condition. So keep that in mind when you're checking out your stuff on your tune and just on anything really, if you're trying to diagnose something. And then, your to your short term and long term, if you see a short term or long term that's negative, like 20 or 30, then you got an excessively rich condition and the PCM's trying to take fuel away. So, you need to look at like an injector that might be stuck open. You got bad injector, or your tune is bad and it's just dumping fuel. You could also have like other things going on. Your oxygen sensors could be reading incorrectly. Another thing to check on your oxygen sensors is that when it's running, you should see it switching from rich lean condition based on the exhaust pulse, right? So it should be rich lean. So high voltage, high millivolt voltage, low millivolt, and it's going to go back up and down. You can and if you look at it, you can tell if it's slow. So if you got an oxygen sensor that's starting to go out, it could be slow to read and respond. Usually that'll throw a fault code, but you can check that out too. Anyways, let me know if this is helpful. I know this is kind of quick and dirty and just kind of really high level, going like just throwing stuff at you. But let me know if this is helpful, and maybe if I'm wrong on anything, let me know too. Appreciate it.